Alright guys, we're actually going to launch a new show called Flashback Autos, where we're going to take a look at vehicles that you may have once wanted but were just a little bit outside your price range. Maybe they were, $40,000 or $50,000 or a little bit more and you couldn't afford them, but you still loved them. And now, after a few years, they're a little bit more affordable, around the $8,000 to $18,000 mark. So we see little guys doing a lot of reviews on cars that are very expensive and out of the price range, and we're going to now do a review on something a little different. Oh yeah. This is what I mean again by that cowl, that thing going on there. Look at that, that's gorgeous. Look at those tires, look very meaty. Okay, so now check this out. Very calm, very smooth to the touch. You notice this is something on the engine, right? Look, there's no vibration, nothing's moving. Belts look very clean. This particular example of this car is a very clean car. I mean, there's no rust at all, nothing around the strut towers. 147,000 miles. This is crazy. And then I want you to notice something about handling dynamics. Remember what I always talk about with front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive cars, how far the engine is pounded forward? Here are the strut towers right here. You look, it's right over the center of the engine, see? So the weight is still, look at how much space you have in front, it's still relatively more centered. So it's going to give you a lot better handling dynamics because you don't have a whole lot of weight pushing the car out when you're trying to turn this way, the weight fighting against the car. So you have really good weight distribution in this SUV. They cared about the handling. They cared about the handling. And even right here, if we look at this grille, perfect condition. A lot of times these grills are made out of this cheap plastic stuff and they really quickly start to bubble. No bubbles on this grill, and I think it looks beautiful. And believe it or not, there's actually a good amount of space sitting in the trunk. I mean, you can definitely fit a stroller, golf bags, or whatever. This truck is really deceiving, this SUV. And as you can tell by the curvature right there, that when you're closing things, you're still going to have plenty of space to hold things in, even over the bank a little bit. So this is definitely, I can't believe I'm saying this, but an SUV. It's a sport utility vehicle. You can do many different things with this, including hauling 4, maybe 5 comfortably. So one of the things that people always say about the FX35 is that you look at the shape and there must not be any room in the back seat for somebody. When in actuality, I'm surprised a little bit too. There's plenty of space. Look at the amount of headroom that I have. I mean, I'm 6'2", 220 something pounds, and I got a lot of head space. And let's turn around and check out the knee space. There's plenty of knee space also. I mean, believe it or not, that seat is up there just where it needs to be, probably a little bit leaned back further than what I would do. But I got plenty of knee space. And then here's the thing, my legs go down. They go down quite a bit. So on a long trip, I'm not going to feel like I'm in a Nissan Pathfinder, for instance, and my legs are in my chest. My legs are nowhere near my chest. Then look right over here. You have a nice vent also sitting off to the side so that your passengers in the back seat can get a nice airflow and feel comfortable in the car. So that's just proving one thing about the FX. It has good spacing in the back seat. Now let's get acquainted with this cabin a little bit. There are some very interesting and nice features that are in here. Some really cool kind of guy stuff, possibly girl stuff, of course. Like for instance, I love how this pod all operates. When you look right here, this little button down here brings out this whole pod. It's very much an Infiniti thing. I think it first originated, believe it or not, non-motorized with the Porsche 928. Don't quote me on that. Where the whole instrument panel and the steering wheel move together. So that's very cool. It's actually not too bad on visibility. Oh yeah. And then here's another thing, guys. these Infinitis, the steering weight, if you haven't driven one yet, the steering weight is very nice. It's very meaty, it's very thick, it's very it's not super smooth or like a Volvo or something like that. It has good resistance on the steering and good buildup in the corners. And even on this truck, I feel the same thing. And then you have some very interesting, what is that there? That is, oh, something about the headlights maybe? Okay. And also your trip counters and stuff there. That's cool because now you don't have those little buttons sitting on there. That's very 80s-ish. Now as you move to the center console, it does look a little bit busy, but it's really functional. We see here for some reason it's on 90 degrees, which is crazy. We're going to drop it down to 72. Maybe this car was driven. In Michigan, it flip-flops from 20 to like 90 in 2 seconds, and probably that's what happened there. And as we look at this panel here, we see all the different options. We don't see navigation, so this one doesn't have the navigation feature. It has the SAT, but of course that might not be hooked up right now, but that's fine. It's still a very nice unit to look at, and even on a sunny day I can still see perfectly fine with it. You know, we have all our, oh, it's really cool, nice mute or pause button for really quick access in case you get a phone call. Maintenance records. Okay, these are just normal things that we're going over here. You move down and you have a nice clock, Infiniti clock. That was just like on my i30T, that very nice clock that I like. And you have heated seats. Very interesting with Infiniti though, the heated seats, it either goes butt or back, which is just like my other ones. But you know, I never complained about it. I never complained about it at all. It worked perfectly fine as long as I used them. You would get heat on both areas. So here's the interior. It does, for an SUV, it does have a very sporty look, and right there you can see that we're in snow mode. I'm going to figure out where to turn that off. Oh, right down here. Look, down there, turn off snow mode, because we're not in the snow. And we're going to get our camera set up and go for a quick drive. This car has 147,000 miles on the tick. People always get so worried about miles these days, but cars are so much better. They last so much longer. You know, when you see 147,000 miles, the car is just really being broken in with maintenance. And this car, we had the engine bay open. I'm going to take some shots of that too for you to see. It definitely looked very clean, like all the maintenance was completed on this car. So let's go and take a drive. All right, so we're back on the road and we're in the Infiniti 2005 FX35. And we're continuing our drive. I've been enjoying it quite a bit, actually, believe it or not. This car is incredibly tight. And it does not drive to me like an SUV, excuse me. Now, that could be because when I drove in an SUV or when I had my experience in them, usually it wasn't good. Most of the time it was something like a GMC Envoy, a family-owned one, which is a blah, or it was more so something like a Nissan Xterra, which was a, you know, and a knees in your chest thing like I explained earlier. But this car in particular, I feel almost disoriented because it feels much more like a sports car than an SUV. Yes, of course, I'm up higher off the ground quite a bit, and I have space and I have leg room, so it's not like a sports car. But everything else, the way that the sound is of the engine, I'm going to let you hear that real quick. I'm going to let you hear how even it is. We're going to pull out and pull out and, oh yeah, oh yeah. We started moving a little bit. Gotta watch out. I'm not familiar with the area and don't want any friends developing that will want to pull me over. But you can hear the sound, and the sound is there always, but it's much different from the usual sound. It's not an annoying sound, and that's very, very important. You know, some cars over-drone or make too much noise or sound like they're too, you know, over the top. This does not. This sounds actually very composed. And, you know, the ergonomics of the car are great. You know, I'm sitting here, and I actually have this forward position kind of thing going on, but it helps me to see very good. Actually, I can see the hood very nicely. The hood has this nice cowl over it, but it helps me to see very well, which gives me a lot of confidence when I'm turning or doing things. And it has a lot of actual initial punch. I mean, this what I think is a 3.5 liter V6 is very punchy. And as you can see, the car is very composed. I mean, I don't even hear any of these jolts, these little line fill-ins of tar that they usually do. Some cars, you know, with lower profiles, you hear a lot of noise. You notice in the walk-around video, when you look at the tires, it has a good amount of meat on the tires, which means it's going to save you on your suspension quite a bit. And that's very indicative of what's happened here. Infiniti has chosen, in this particular model, in this package, to go with a much larger sidewall. And because of it, you have a car with 147,000 miles that suspension doesn't make a peep, doesn't make a sound. And again, now I'm going over some rougher road. I'm not even noticing it a bit. I'll be honest with you, when I'm driving like my Mercedes, my other cars, I look in the road, and this is not just because this is a loaner or someone else's vehicle, but I look in the road for potholes because it seems like it agitates the car a lot more when you go over one. In this vehicle, that really does not happen. You don't. I'm going over some rougher roads, some water, some different things, and when I mean water, I mean it looks like some type of draining issues in a few areas that cause water to build up. But I have no issues at all, and I'm not even paying that much attention to what's happening because the car makes me feel confident, and that's what you kind of want. You want a vehicle that when you're driving it, you don't want to have to overly be concerned about it. It handles everything for you. And it's just a well blend of sports car and utility put together. Let's see, what else can I say that is a criticism of this car? Because we have to be honest. We have to look at these vehicles very honestly. And I want to make sure that when I'm recommending a vehicle to you, that it is something that that you actually want. I like the heads-up display piece between the gauge cluster and the steering wheel that all move together, but I do feel like the plastic that is around it is not of top-notch quality. That's just a minute point. That's something so small when considering everything else. But I like how the rest of the interior is laid out quite a bit. And again, now I'm going over some rougher road. Alright, so if you guys are interested in this particular vehicle after I've reviewed it, maybe I've convinced you to go ahead and buy it, you can check these individuals out at this website right here, pltauto.com. You also have their phone number right there also, the 313-582-0202. And you can talk with them. This is a place that I have done personal business with. I've actually bought a vehicle from them, and I enjoyed the experience, enjoyed the vehicle. It was very reliable. And that's something that you should just take into consideration. But again, the point is these cars are very, very nice, and they're keeping something that could be in your driveway very soon.